Welcome to another episode of Reframe for Resilience. I am Dr. Douglas, your host, and on this podcast, we invite guests who are experts in that they have looked at problems themselves, problems of their clients, have helped them to take different perspectives in short to reframe. And they also have an eye on how that contributes to resilience. Our guest today is Mr. Jason Munson, and he is the CEO of Neuro Linkers. And he will tell us what Neuro Linkers are about. What is fascinating, he's an expert in neurosciences, so you can understand the connection to Neuro Linkers. And I'm particularly interested in how he uses neuroscience to help individuals to think about problems differently. Mr. Munson, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's start off. Tell us a bit about Neuro Linkers. What do you do in Neuro Linkers?
So at Neuro Linkers, we help change people's minds in order to create new results using a formula that is backed by the latest neuroscientific processes.
Could you, for those of us who are not neuroscientists, could you break it down into natural, normal language?
We live in a stress pandemic today. People and organizations are on a higher level of stress than they've ever been before. And all the research shows that when we have high stress, we have low performance. We have toxic work environments. It leads to high employee turnover. It leads to higher sick days. It leads to burnout. Things like this. These are problems that organizations and people are dealing with. So we can't change a lot of the things that cause stress from the outside, that cause stress inside of an organization. But we can change the way that we think. We can change our minds as to how we process, the unexpected, how we receive the unexpected. And then we can also change how we react to the things that are expected, because there's a certain number of stressors or things that happen that we can predict. And if we can predict something is going to cause us to have a negative experience or a negative emotion, we can prepare for that and stop that reaction from happening. When people
So,
are able to do this, they are better grounded and they can produce a higher level of result inside of their organizations, inside their lives.
yeah, could you give us an example of each? As you said, uh, there's a lot that is unexpected. And that in itself is stressful. The unexpected is stressful. And I think we live in times today in which we are experiencing things for the first time. So in a way, the unexpected is very high. So give us a couple of examples, if you can, in terms of how you deal with the unexpected versus the expected.
I'll give you a personal example. This is a letter that I got in the mail last week, and it is canceling my homeowner's insurance policy.
Oh dear. That is stressful.
That is an event that could cause someone to go into stress. That is something that is unexpected. I wasn't expecting that to come up. I wasn't expecting that letter to happen. So that would be an example. If you got a text message from your boss or somebody that you worked with that says, I need to see you in my office right away, that could be an unexpected, event that would cause stress. And when the unexpected happens like that, the way that our brains are designed is that one of the things we do is that we go into worst case scenarios. So if my homeowner's insurance gets canceled, then that means that I won't be able to get homeowners insurance. And so if there's a fire in my area, then I would lose my house. So I can't do that. And I think the premium is going to be too high on a replacement homeowners insurance. So maybe I'm going to have to sell my house. That's a stress response. And most people are going through responses like that through most of their day. When the unexpected happens, they go straight to the negative and not to, well, hey, maybe there is a homeowner's insurance policy that's less expensive for me out there, and this might be a good step into saving me money. That's not usually where our minds go. So that would be the unexpected, but the expected, is if you're going into if you're going into work into an unfair environment and unfair things happen that are predictable. I owned an e-commerce company working with Amazon, and I constantly got people that would cheat on returning products so that they could actually keep the product that they had purchased, and I would have to refund them their money. You can imagine that's a very frustrating situation. But if I know that that's going to happen, when it happens and I get frustrated, well, I really have a choice as to whether or not I want to get frustrated by that situation. And I could choose a different response that would empower me, give me a more positive emotion, so that I have a better experience throughout my day because I can't change what they're going to do.
And so you just tell yourself, I can't change what they do. Just be positive about it. There's, if I had that problem and I came to you with it, is that the advice you would give me, or you would offer some other coping mechanisms for me to think about?
In the work that I do, one of the biggest steps is just having an awareness, of when something like that happens, unexpected or expected, of just saying, okay, let me have some awareness. What just happened now, and what feelings are coming up for me. And it's a way of like actually just stepping outside of yourself and looking at yourself. In science, we call it metacognition, is actually thinking about your thoughts and saying, wow, I can tell that I'm really feeling frustrated because this situation in my work environment really seems unfair. And giving it some space to breathe, to actually saying it out loud and then saying, well, asking a question of, is this really the feeling that I want to have? And do I really want to give up control of my emotions to this event? Then we're casting some doubt upon this idea that many of us have of that there is, cause and effect, stimulus and response, that if something negative happens, I have to feel a negative emotion as if I don't have any control over it. That's something really to question and to cast doubt upon if you want to be able to take control of your emotional intelligence.
So now, as I grapple with my emotion and try to handle it in a more intelligent way, are there sort of approaches that work, generally things that you advise people to do, either physically, whether it is exercise, taking a deep breath, or whether it's something more metaphysical, as meditating, etc. What do you do? Because what I've got so far is realization. You recognize, realize, and you understand or you accept that it doesn't have to be cause and effect. Because that effect has happened, it doesn't have to cause you to spiral down into a negative place. So that is one thing that I hear that you offer. Are there other things that you offer?
Right. So in the program that I teach, Change Your Mind, Create New Results, we talk about how your thoughts create your reality. And
Mhm.
not everything begins with a thought. And we have to be very careful about the thoughts that we choose. Um, our thoughts are going to influence our behaviors. So we're going to think first and then we're going to act second. And then our behaviors are going to influence our emotions. And this is what actually creates our personalities in life, our thinking, our behaviors, and our feelings. And thinking, behaving, and feeling in certain ways, that's what's going to influence our personal reality or influence our life. So we have our personality or state of being is going to influence the results that we're getting in life. So if we look at the results that we're getting in life and we're not liking what we're seeing, we're not liking how things are turning out, then we need to go back to, well, what are we thinking about? And what are the thoughts that dominate us throughout the day? We think 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts that we had yesterday. So if we keep on thinking the same thoughts, we're going to produce the same results. And and those are going to produce the same outcomes in our lives. So to change that, we have to start thinking about what we're thinking about and start with that to be able to change those behaviors and to change those results.
Do you have ways of helping people to do that, to really reflect on the things they're thinking about and then to start changing the things they're thinking about? Because that is the first step in a real sense to changing perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So a way to do this is to, first, as we talked about, have the awareness of the thoughts that you're having. If you're dealing with a situation, saying like, well, this is harder than I think it should be. Things are not going as well as I thought they would. Um, why is everything that I'm trying not working? Things like that. And then replace those thoughts and just write out what would be the opposite thought of that. You know, this is harder than I thought it should be. It would be on one side of the ledger, and you put on the other side, you could say, this is easier than I expected. Um, Things aren't working out like I thought they would. On the other side could be, why is everything working out so easily and effortlessly for me? Writing the opposite of the negative thought and putting it into a positive light, and then becoming really familiar with those positive thoughts, uh, reading them throughout the day, maybe reading them 3 times a day out loud. What you're actually doing when that happens is you're rewiring the neural connections inside of your brain, inside of your neocortex, to install like a new set of programming, something that's now you have a new language that's running in your subconscious. And when you start thinking, thoughts, if your dominant thought becomes, why is this working out so well for me? Then your subconscious starts to look for ways that it's actually working out well. And you start to see the world through a different lens. So the work that I really do, part of the work that I do is teaching people how to regulate their emotional state. They can't always stop the stress that's happening to them, but they can shorten the period of time that they are in the stress so they can get themselves into a creative state to where they're able to see the opportunities to solve problems better, to be able to produce at a higher level, to have a higher performance at work, produce better results inside the organization. And what we found is when that happens, when we shift cultures to that mindset, businesses make more money.